Hey everyone, I am super excited to bring our next candidate to 1,000 People Hired project. We have today James Donovan. James, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
James, so unfortunately, you are part of the 20 plus million people. And our goal here today is to take you away from the 20 plus million people that were unfortunately laid off, and to hopefully find you and get you a job. So why don't you start with and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from?
Sure. Yeah, no, I grew up in Easton, Connecticut. I was actually born out in California originally, but family moved over to the East Coast. Lived here most of my life. Grew up with one sister. She's actually now out in California herself. Been here for a long time, been, into sports, ran cross country, swam, rode, was really into computers and tech. Just had a great childhood growing up. I was outside a lot, was with the Boy Scouts, got my Eagle Scout. So just love being on the East Coast. I love the seasons. I've got grandparents that are pretty close by. So just great area. I've always been here, and hoping to stick around, stay in the New York area for whatever my next role is.
Wow, that is super cool. It seems like you've done a tremendous amount. Everything from all different types of sports to the Boy Scouts to being interested in technology, like so many different cool things. So why don't you tell us about? And I'm sure being someone that's interested in all these types of things, you have made, I'm assuming, overcame a lot of personal challenges, and at the same time, I'm assuming you're working on your own personal goals you want to work on. So why that you're trying to progress in? So why don't you tell us about a personal project or something that you're constantly working on right now?
Sure. So I have this podcast. It's called Knowledge Transfer,
Nice.
And basically the main idea behind starting the podcast was, as I was going through my career, I've been a tutor, I've been a rowing coach, I've been a talent leader, and as I've gone through, my exposure to technology and to education and to sports, I started to realize there's a lot of overlap with kind of general strategies that you can use when you approach your work or you approach problems. And to me, I feel like these are like basic learning, lessons that people need to have to be more effective in the world. And so, I thought of knowledge transfer as a great way to kind of share my thoughts, my insights, my ideas around these things. So it was, my first episode was about starting a project. It's about not having an ego and worrying what people are going to think. It's about, just perfection being the enemy of the good and trying to get something out. And so, all of these kind of different thoughts that help people, start that first project, or maybe it's like having the right mindset to compete or train, what goes into that. So answering kind of these interesting questions that I think, no matter what realm people are in, what kind of work that they're doing, they can find that stuff helpful. So that was one of the personal projects that I've been working on. Learned a lot from it, how to podcast, how to put, stuff up on the internet, connecting and networking with people to share their thoughts and ideas. It's been fun, and hope to continue to do it.
Wow, that's super cool. And I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out afterwards. So, let's throw to the opposite spectrum, turn it around. And what's like a personal challenge that you've overcame?
Sure. So, I don't think this is super personal, but for me, it was in the sense that through college, I was really big into rowing. I rowed for my college's team. And we were pretty competitive. We made it to nationals. In my sophomore year, we were one of the better rowing teams. We had a good shot of winning. And we basically, there's 2 national championships for rowing. And in the first one, we took second, which was pretty heartbreaking for us. We were hoping to take first. And in the second national championship, we took fourth. We led the whole race up until the last 200 meters or something like that, and we ended up just had burnt out way too much, and we take a fourth. And I remember that being a particularly hard time in my life because I had put all this effort in that whole season into really trying to go after the gold, and we thought that was really possible. And I think that it was because of that season that the following season, we had a fantastic year. We won all of our regular season races. We won both national championships by what's called open water. Basically, there's no space between us and the next boat. And I really attribute it to, I had this picture of the crew that won nationals the previous year up in the back of my locker. That someone had taken a shot and put it up on the internet where it was like us in the foreground and we looked dejected and sad, and it was them in the background celebrating and cheering. And I saw that every single day that I walked into the gym and looked at the back of my locker. And I really think that helped me have the motivation every day because it really showed me what I was working towards. And I think of that a lot when I think about the work that I'm doing, at any time, now specifically, going after my next position, I know that I'm going to have to work hard and I'm going to have to run down a lot of leads and kind of see where they all go. But if I put in that effort every day, eventually I'll get to where I want to be.
Wow, that is super cool. And I'm assuming, on your knowledge project, you could do a whole entire episode about that, like using that type of motivation in order to propel you forward. So Tell us what you're looking for in your next role.
So I've always been really interested in teams and learning, and I'm very have a strong belief in a metrics and agile approach to building process. So I could find myself in talent again. I think that's where my most recent experience lies. And, I know all of the relevant technology, Lever, Greenhouse, LinkedIn Recruiter. I've done basically everything in that space, from running the recruiting process to doing interviews to I initially built the recruiting process at Cherry. So I'd be very happy to do that again. I find that very exciting work. But I'd also be happy to kind of pivot into something else that's around team building. So I think I'm pretty flexible. I'm excited to see what's out there. I'd like to work with a small to mid-sized company where I can get to know people, maybe pick up problems and wear lots of different hats. I find that kind of work engaging, and I think that would be the best for me going forward.
Amazing. So first of all, James, thank you so much for joining us today. And there's no doubt in my mind that any company that gets you is extremely lucky. Your grit, your hustle attitude, you all can do, put your right foot forward, and you're going to do whatever it takes in order to get the job done. Especially, being a sportsman, that what it means to actually put in the hard work, the training, and every single day, and just showing up. So I wish you a lot of luck, and there's no doubt in my mind that, and hopefully through this, what multiple people are going to share this, we're able to find you your next position.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it.